Rappin with ReefBum is sponsored by Bulk Reef Supply and Ecotech Marine.
Hey, what's happening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Rappin with ReefBum. I'm your host, Keith Berkelhamer. So today I have the pleasure of welcoming back Andrew Sandler from Polo Reef. What's happening there, Andrew?
Hello, Keith. Welcome, and I'm happy to be back. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. We were supposed to have Rashid on tonight, but he is on vacation. But
he is gone to a different part of the world.
So I'm actually going to have him on, I think, in September to talk about his new tank build. So we'll get caught up with Rashid at that point in time.
Sure.
So for those folks that don't know Andrew, and there's probably not many, Andrew, that don't know what you guys are doing with the Polo Reef, but Andrew has that famous 17,000-gallon reef tank in his home, and he is the founder and CEO of Polo Reef. So before we start chatting with Andrew, I want to thank the sponsors for the show, both Bulk Reef Supply and Ecotech Marine. I really appreciate these companies supporting the live stream. And I also appreciate all you folks out there that are tuning in and supporting the show. As usual, please drop your comments and questions. I see that's already happening in the chat below. So, Andrew, man, how have you been? It's been a while. I saw you at Rappin New York back in June. We had you on the show in January. What's been going on, man?
Upgrades 3.0, you know, and new tank builds going on, and construction, and there's a lot of activity going on here, and we're just waiting to get to either the start of it or the end of it, including the pond, Keith. Like, I have a guy coming in Thursday with 10 koi this size flying in.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, we're waiting for that video to go.
Yeah, I'll look forward to that one, man. That's
yeah.
Wow. Okay, yeah. So yeah, we're talking before the live stream, and typically the summertime is a slow time in the reef keeping world, but has really not been the case for you guys. I could see that.
No,
yeah,
it does not.
So we got like a ton of topics. Your team put together this awesome video, and so we've got a bunch of topics to touch on. But there's also some generosity here in terms of some giveaways. You guys are generously donating some one backpack, Polo Reef backpack, and 6 stainless steel Polo Reef water bottles, which Andrew is showing up there right now. Pretty solid water bottles, pretty cool looking.
Yeah, you heard that clank?
Yeah. So we're gonna have 7 different winners. One person's gonna get that backpack, and 6 people will get the stainless steel water bottles. And yeah, just regarding the backpack, Polo Reef is launching a back-to-school kids art contest. So if you want to get the details on that, they will be posted on the Polo Reef Facebook group page for more details on that initiative. So anyway, just stay glued to this stream. In a little bit, I will give you folks the lowdown in terms of how you will enter this giveaway, the instructions for the giveaway. I see a whole bunch of familiar faces in the chat. I see we've got the Meckleys in the house. Amanda and Chris, what's happening there, folks? Robert.
Hey, Keith, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you another one. I'm gonna throw in a hat. I got a hat. Hold on, let me go get it.
Oh, we're getting a hat. So we got 8 different winners now. Okay. I gotta change my my rules here now and add the 8th. Yeah.
Two more, white and black.
We got 2 hats. All right, so we're gonna have 9 different winners. 9 different winners, and let me just make some adjustments here to what I was going to say in terms of the winners. Okay. All right. Getting the house in order here. So, all right. Awesome, man. Thank you very much there, Andrew. So we got 1 backpack, 2 hats, and 6 water bottles. Awesome. So, all right. So, Andrew, the video that I got from your team is very comprehensive. So why don't we start with the 17,000 gallon tank? I'll start playing the video there.
Yep.
Talk to us, man. It's it's a preview video, I guess, in terms of what's going on right now. That just looks so awesome as per usual.
I don't know what you're looking at, but show it to me.
it's your tank in all its glory.
I know, I'm sure it is. Patty did a good job. Is it playing?
Yeah, it's playing. You're on like a 23-4 second delay. So yeah, we're looking at it right now. So what's going on with the tank in terms of just the basics in terms of how it's running right now?
Things are going pretty well. We have we've upgraded lighting. We are about to have a major upgrade in flow, and we've had to do some jerry rigging in between.
So let's talk lighting, because right now the video is going to get into the whole lighting here. So you guys are doing some stuff with the lighting, the Orphix and the new metal halides. Talk to us about that stuff.
Okay, it's very simple. I'm not a big fan of white LEDs, and the corals, I think, have a rough time with it. We wanted to increase our whites, but we wanted a more broadband source, more diversified source. The tank is getting about 2 hours of white LED, very light, 10, 15, 20% kind of thing. In the morning, there's a ramp from like 10 to 12. And then from 12 p.m. on, the whites are basically off in the tank, and all whites are supplied by the halides. And we have 7 fixtures from 250 to 400 watts. I know you say 250, oh my God, that's so little, but it can really light up an area higher up. And they are a mix of 10K bulbs and one 14K bulb in the middle. And we're running the halides from 12 to 3:30. And we just added that Orphic Amazonian violet, which we think gives the tank a beautiful violet pop. And it's a 325 watt light. It's a 4 puck light, and we had them custom made, all violets and all UV chips. Well, not real UV chips, but the violets. And really what we're trying to do is supplement our Maxspect until the new commercial, whatever we get, comes out. The Maxspect commercials are a little flat, blue-white, and so they tend to need some supplements, in my opinion. So we're just trying to better the animal health and improve visual flatness with the eye.
Gotcha. Chelly, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, let me know. But Chelly,
right.
Thank you for that super chat. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like button. Is the message there? So appreciate that.
So those Amazonas, we put one in the tank, and it really covered like a huge area. And we ordered 3 more for the rest of the tank. And you know, when I do it, what happens? I turn the blues down a touch, and I turn the pars down a little bit more on the other lights. We kind of think they're so interesting that we're actually trying them out for the 2500 also. The 2500 lighting scheme, whatever that is basically a blank canvas. We can choose. We're considering supplements and radium 20K halides as sort of our, go-to, and what supplements we choose, and whether we do Orphix or whether we do Kessels, we'll soon decide.
Are you concerned at all about the I don't know if it's a rumor or if it's a fact that the radium bulbs are no longer being manufactured?
I'm not concerned. I got enough for a lot of years. and if I don't, I know where they exist.
There you go.
Right, Methley? We know where they exist.
And, well, you know, if you could put a couple of those aside for me there, Andrew, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. Which ones do you like?
Big,
you like the
big
which ones you
400 watt 20K Rames is my bulb of
Yeah,
choice.
that is a beautiful bulb.
Yeah, that's my bulb of choice. So is the whole thing in terms of wanting to stay with halides as part of the equation, just the way that bulb can penetrate versus LEDs? Because I know when I had
no, it's not that, Keith. I think I'd get more penetration from the white laser pointed LEDs, or at least that spotlight. But you know they're tough on coral, white LEDs. You know, these grow shops basically only run them a couple hours a day, and then they turn all blue. But it's more for a broadband source that is above 700 and below 420. So I get a little bit more broader spectrum, and it's a little easier on the corals because that's not a real point source. It's not a laser thing. So like when the white LEDs go off and the halides go on, actually my PAR actually decreases a little bit.
Yeah. So what kind of PAR are you getting down to the like to the bottom third of that tank? Do you know?
Yeah, whatever I want it to be, because we run the whites, so low. But I would say the tank averages 3 something, and the top being 4 something, and the bottom being 200.
Yeah. That always kind of seems to be the range that I like to keep my my corals happy in. And yeah, you mentioned in terms of the lasers, is that what the Orphix really are? It's almost kind of a laser source of type of LED. Has it got that kind of punch?
I don't really know. It's very wide angle. So with I don't know. You're looking at the lighting, right? The video.
I'll play that right now.
Can you see those 4 pucks?
I'm gonna try to scroll to it.
It's one corner of the tank, and it like covers like 2/3 of the tank with one corner. So when we get 2 more, we'll have the whole tank covered.
I'm showing the Orphic fixture right now. That's the
there
one.
There you are. Yeah. So we customized that. We don't need more blues. We have the Maxspecs. I found them a little flat in the violets. So we basically ask for all violets in the 4 puck.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And then in the upstairs, the 2500, we'll probably, if we do them, we'll have blue in them instead of just all violet.
So that's not something that you could change yourselves. I mean, basically the diodes are the diodes, and
correct.
Well, highly customizable.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we have some Kessel lights that are coming too. That the Kessel commercial is a whole nother deal than the Kessel hobbyist line, and we're gonna try them too.
What so is pretty much the benchmark in terms of how the lighting is going? Is the way the corals are looking? Is that kind of what you guys are doing, or are you?
Yeah,
is it more
visually
scientific?
to the eye and how they look. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got to be tough, man, because you got a lot of corals in that tank. So I would assume that there's a lot of Montipora, you got a lot of Acropora and all that sort of thing, and it's going to be hard to kind of keep everything happy if they're not kind of like in one certain spot of the tank.
I mean, there's one spot in the middle where the Montes were getting on the floor. The Montes were getting bleached out, and we never understood it. And then you go test the PAR there, and for whatever reason, from the crosses and the duplicate, whatever, it's almost 300 PAR in that area. And of course, the Montes are not loving it. And then you put the Montes in the shade somewhere, and they turn beautiful again.
So Blue Reef is asking you, is Andrew seeing better growth with the blues and better color, or is he seeing less RTN with less white?
I would say the coral color is better. And it's hard to know whether it's just reflective stuff from the violet lights or it's actually better.
Gotcha. What percentage of the lights are actually halides versus LEDs, would you say? Is it 50-50? Is it...
No, it's not even close. I think I'm still running You know, when I look at specs, I'd say 70% LED still. We use the LEDs for all the blues. Even the whites come on for like 3-4 hours a day. And the halides only provide, at the end of the day, the halides are like supplements, right? Like I want to look at the tank between 12 and 3, but I don't want it all blue, but I want it a little bit more 14K-ish. And that's what those halides provide once the white LEDs are off.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right, man. So let's talk about tank flow. And again, I'm going to show the video. I apologize because I don't have a way to kind of like stop and start the video, so I'm going to have to fast forward to the lighting part here, but or the flow part. But
yeah. So the flow thing is,
here we
we're
go.
waiting for these Abyss 400 pumps. We've been waiting about a year and a half. I kid you not. We tried their massive one, which was a jet engine, too big. And now what we had to do was jerry rig a few of those AFC 150 cannons. That's probably what you're looking at.
Uh-huh.
And provide some extra flow with those until the 400s come. Coral View tells me that the 400s are in stock finally in the United States. We're expecting 3 of them. I expect the flow in the tank will change dramatically.
Yeah, that's a lot of flow. So how much flow do you guys got going on in there right now? I mean, I see the Pantaray, talking about the Abyss.
The Pantaray is probably going to be replaced with the Abyss. They've tried to they changed the impeller on me, and it's helped a lot, but for whatever reason it tends to slightly, if I run it real high, like 60-65%, 70% with wave action, it will cavitate. And since we are worried about the nitrogen and oxygen in the tank to begin with, and the gassing, we want to change this pump. It's maybe not their fault. I mean, maybe my gases that are too high, but for whatever reason, their pumps are affected by my gases, and the Abyss's are not.
Huh. It's interesting in terms of how you have those pumps mounted in the tank itself. I see one that was like actually looked like it was zip tied or whatever you guys had to a rock.
we really jerry rigged this thing to increase the flow until these big boys come. These AFC 150 cannons, which are the ones you're looking at now,
yeah,
silver ones, they produce a relatively narrow, very long stream, Keith. So you can put them in the rocks and get water movement like way out in the tank. But it's not wide, it tends to be narrow.
Yeah. Between lighting and flow, which has been more of a challenge for you in terms of getting that right? Equally challenging?
I think flow, because peninsula tank, 3 views, you can't block things. And these things were, from Abyss that we wanted, were out of stock for a year and a half. Like, they were not in the country. They didn't have the parts or whatever. So flow has been more of a weight game and just rig up what we can do for the time being. Lighting, we're able to act now.
Right. Yeah. What did you guys do in terms of the research on the flow? I mean, obviously, public aquariums, have display tanks, in that kind of range that you guys have. So it's got to be tough, man, to especially with a tank that's got so many corals in it, to try to like figure out the game plan on flow. I mean, have you guys collaborated at all with public aquariums to try to like share your insights and learnings? No, you're shaking your head no.
Yeah, no, I say yes, but like SeaWorld lost their reef tank or part of it because They couldn't get the Abyss 400 controller on time. It almost didn't matter. Like, people needed these Abyss pumps. Joe Yulo went with the big boy, the 1200. I don't know if you've seen that one. That thing is like, we put one in our tank to test it.
Yeah.
And it tested fine, by the way. We were bouncing off the walls, but it really looked like seriously a plane crashed in the tank. Even just with the reflections, it was so big.
Wow.
So we chose the middle one, and we've been waiting.
How do you? I mean, I would assume that when you're experimenting or you're playing around with the flow and stuff, you're knocking corals off, right? I mean, that's got to be happening.
When we did it, Abyss was here, and they angled it right, and there was a lot of bank shots. and the idea is to get a circular flow around the reef that will encase it with these abysses, and then we can still use these AFC cannons in the rocks to blow detritus, etc. The problem with the abyss, in general, their wires are short and orange because of the wattage, etc., etc. So to get them custom, you need to put the black stuff on the wires and make them longer and so forth. With the exception of that, we really like them.
A.L. Boger is asking, did you ever consider an above tank dumping station for flow? So kind of like a surge type of...
We have 2 surge valves, but they take from the rest of the tank. We thought about making them separate, but we didn't want to drill the tank in the back for more, or add pumps that weren't in the basement, sub-basement. We didn't want noise. And so we chose not to go that route. And basically wait for these.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think the way you guys have them positioned, from what you could tell in the video, the orange cords are not that much of an eyesore, but it sounds like those are going to be kind of a temporary solution as it is. Anyway.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Perhaps we should start giving some of your stuff away there, Andrew. Maybe we should.
Okay.
Why don't we?
Okay.
This could
Whatever. You're in charge.
This could be a good point in time to kind of rattle off the giveaway instructions. So, all right, as we're talking about the top of the show, Andrew and the Polo Reef team has been very generous. Thank you, Matt Carlton, for that super chat. Very generous, and they're donating some giveaway items for the viewers that are tuning in tonight. So they are giving away 2 Polo Reef baseball caps, which I think Andrew's wearing one of them, a white one and a black one.
Correct.
A Polo Reef backpack. That's you don't have one handy there, but also 6 stainless steel Polo Reef water bottles. And there you go. Very sweet looking Polo Reef water bottles there. And the thing I should mention again about the Polo Reef backpack is that you guys are launching a back to school kids art contest. So those details for that will be posted on the Polo Reef Facebook group page. All right. So the giveaway instructions. The winners, this is for continental United States residents only. 9 winners. And let me count this up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The winners will be the 5th. These are just random numbers. The 5th, the 8th, the 11th, the 14th, the 18th, the 22nd, the 25th, the 28th, and the 31st person. Those 9 people that contact me in that order via the contact form on my website, which is reefbum.com/contact. Let me put that in the chat. reefbum.com/
Hey,
contact.
Keith, you almost used all prime numbers there in the beginning.
I know. I kind of got off of that. I don't know why. It's just...
You had to choose 13 instead of 14.
Yeah. Go figure. So Yes, go to the reefbum.com/contact form, reefbum.com/contact. Put Polo Reef giveaway in the subject heading. Polo Reef giveaway in the subject heading. Multiple submissions will be thrown out, so don't submit multiple times. Just submit one time, and I will contact the 9 winners tomorrow morning via email by 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I got to put out a time limit here because we had an issue the last time I had a giveaway. You must respond within 48 hours to claim your prize. So that would be by Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm being very precise in terms of these rules. So check your spam folders, your email spam folders. If you're a winner and I don't hear back from you, then we're going to move on to the next person in line. So again, go to reefbum.com/contact, put Polo Reef giveaway in the subject heading, and then 9 different people will be the winners. So how's that? Beautiful. Anybody have any questions, let me know. Any more thought on that? Oh, A.L. Boger, any more thought on the live feed of Polo Reef for charity, Andrew? I think he's talking about a live webcam.
Yeah. So that is a complicated subject, and we've gotten proposals from as high as $300,000 to $400,000 systems for several cameras.
Whoa.
That are titanium, not stainless, blah, 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 an Apple switcher and all those things, to as basic as a 1-camera system, which is $6,000, $7,000. And the truth of the matter is, we would like to do it. I'd like to do it I'd like to start charitable in the hospitals, cancer wards, where we actually can get into it, no problem. But we're waiting for these Abyss 400s on the electrical first and making sure that was okay in the flow. And then the next project was the cameras.
Are you just focused solely on having cameras inside the tank, or have you also considered cameras outside?
We've considered both, and there are proposals for both. I will tell you the ones in the tank are maintenance, algae on the lens, wiring, rusting, unplugging, wire management. Not easy. Not easy.
I looked briefly into that myself, and I was like, yeah, that's not going to be happening. I mean, I have this like live webcam on one of my display tanks, and
outside, right? Outside.
Yeah. So that's a pretty simple application, and very inexpensive application, but it's yeah. Well, I mean, listen, man, you're cutting edge. I know you guys. If there is a will, there will be a way in terms of getting something on the inside. I mean, there are like live webcams that I've seen like out in the ocean. So
those are like $6,000-$7,000 cameras, and the ocean doesn't care whether you rust a little bit. So stainless has to be replaced with titanium, and then you have to figure a way of disattachment easy and servicing. And then running the wires, which is a whole nother art.
Yeah. Well, you got to have your priorities first, right? You got to get the flow.
The tank's got it right. The tank has to look good. Yeah.
People are repeating me, wanting to know how to win prizes. If you can announce it again, please. Oh, you want me to announce the rules again? Okay.
The numbers, please.
How to enter this contest? So I'm gonna pin this message. So at the top of the live stream is reefbum.com/contact. That is where you go to enter this giveaway, and you fill out the contact form and you put Polo Reef giveaway in the subject heading. Do not enter twice, 3 times, 4 times, just a single submission, because that means more work for me. And what we'll do is there's going to be 9 different winners. and the winners will be the 5th, the 8th, the 11th, the 14th, the 18th, the 22nd, the 25th, the 28th, and the 31st person that contact me via that contact form. And those numbers mean nothing. That's just what I, that's what I'm going to go by for this particular giveaway, and try to keep it random there. So yes, and you must. So I'm going to reach out to the winners by 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time tomorrow morning to let you know whether or not you've, won one of these giveaway items. You've got to respond to me within 48 hours to claim that prize. So that's going to be Sunday morning by 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That you must respond back to me. As I mentioned before, check your email spam folders, because sometimes the emails from me can end up in there. And if I don't hear back from you in 48 hours, we're going to move on to the next person. So that's a deal. And good luck to everybody out there. So, all right, Andrew, man, let's continue on in terms of. I see the next agenda item is diving and coral blowing. Talk to us about that. I'm going to fast forward to the video to that part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So we've had some flatworms in this display. It's pretty hard not to get with all the coral some sort of pest. And we've been keeping them at bay by weekly blowing with a hose. And that hose is either filled with salt water, which is a pump within the tank. And if it's cranked with salt water, we tend to really open up the pressure and blow the coral as if you were turkey basting a frag, like to see whether a flatworm comes off, And every other week we've been doing it with RO water, and much lighter, heading from the bottom. And when that RO water encases that coral, those flatworms would come off very quickly. The issue with the RO water in general is if you hit a coral that does have flatworms and it's been eaten, the RO will pull the flesh off the coral.
Yeah.
So, it's got to go very light. And we've had some of those, and literally we take them out and we put them in another system to heal, and then they go back in. So, and you'll see that on the video. That's system number 1, we call it. Those are the ones with the peppermint shrimp, the elvatata.
Which have a tendency to eat the flatworms.
Eggs. They eat the eggs.
And the eggs.
And the eggs. So we dip. They go in there. We dip. They go back in there.
Let me ask you, Andrew. Have you guys studied that in terms of when you put the corals in? Do you leave the eggs on, or do you try to scrape as much off as you can and then put them in, and then let the peppermints go at them?
It depends on the colony and whether we can get at them.
Right. And I guess what I'm wondering is, I guess, do you guys have the kind of like that evidence that you put a colony in that tank with eggs on it?
100% evidence that they eat the eggs.
Wow.
Okay. Elvatata, they cost about $25 to $30 per piece per shrimp landed. They are see-through. They're this little. Let's see my hand there. And unfortunately, we don't know to this date whether it's scales in a tank. We keep 300 plus of them in that system number 1, and we don't feed them very much.
How big is that system?
So they go to town on the eggs. How many you would need in a tank, even of a significant size, while you feed? We are going to figure that out in the lab. That's something that we plan on doing, experimenting in the lab very shortly when the cubes come.
Rob upstate New York, thank you very much, man, once again for that generous super chat. Thanks, Keith, for hosting. Thank you, Andrew, for sharing your beautiful reef tank with us and all you do for school science programs. Very
Right.
nice.
You know, our mission statement is very simple: grow the hobby and help the hobby and keep it going. And that means education. It means, you know, doing some research. It means inspiring people, which means getting school kids over and getting them a spark, or it means donating to curriculum. And we love donating to curriculum in schools that not just have a fish tank, but teach around it, have lab activities, et cetera, et cetera. And we give both money and equipment.
Yeah, what you guys are doing for the hobby in terms of being the ambassadors and you know, the philanthropy is just amazing, Andrew. So thank you to you and to the whole team for kind of leading that effort. Just incredible.
I owe this hobby back for making my mind at peace when the markets are not good.
There you go, man. It's a nice little diversion when times are top.
By the way, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. All right, so getting back to the flatworm, somebody was asking, are these aqua-eating flatworms or planaria? We're talking about aqua-eating flatworms.
Yeah.
And
I will tell you this, Keith. We had a lot of lost colonies out of nowhere, like 6 months ago, a year ago, where a colony was like, you think it's great, and then the next morning it's gone. Okay? And the colony is this big.
Yeah.
Now that we've been doing the weekly blowings, we feel like that has not happened. And we know the problem areas and spots because we can see them come up. And every coral where we see them come up and maybe it's getting bitten or whatever, they go into that system one, we pull them out, they go right into system one with those peppermint shrimp with dips and so forth, and we rotate them around. And the corals return to 17,000. They do return.
If you guys are hearing the alarms going off, that's my house. I think my wife burned something, so we've got a major alarms going off. I got my dog right sitting next to me, he's petrified.
They hate that shit.
Wilson, everything's okay, buddy.
Wilson.
So the question I was going to ask you, Andrew, is where do you get the where do those peppermint shrimp from geographically? Because I've heard
Australia only.
Australia only, because I've also heard that there's a and I've heard this from Chris Meckley at ACI, that there is a variety of peppermint shrimp on the west coast of Florida that is also apparently has an appetite for the worms and the eggs.
We have one with Florida peppermint shrimp, and we find them in general better with algae and cleaning aptasia than the eggs relative to Elvatata.
Gotcha. You know, it's I guess the other question I have is you said they're on the really small side, and whenever I put like peppermints in my tank that are small,
you can't even see them; they're translucent.
Right. You know, those are easily sucked into power heads. Those can be eaten by fish. That's
the problem, and it's why at Polo Reef we have not recommended an amount to keep in your tank. Because we're still experimenting with what needs to be done.
Yeah.
We know a quarantine system where they're loaded up and they're not fed much. They will feed on the eggs. We know that.
You know, and that is the key, is finding a way to get at those eggs. And it's been a problem that has always been a problem in this hobby, and yeah, you know, you see it yourself, man. You get a flatworm infestation, and it could be devastating.
Keith, you know, the eggs are such that, like, you know, it represents future flatworms, and pulling the coral is the best bet. Manually scraping it, and then it goes into that quarantine system, blowing the coral so that the adult flatworms and the baby flatworms come up, inspecting and turning over coral when you can, and looking for bases that are bleaching out or corals that just don't look right. From a color standpoint, we've been very, very much quicker to investigate now and pull and go into the hospital. There's a certain amount of bite marks we allow, and then that's it.
Right, because pulling the corals out of that 17,000-gallon tank is, all of them, is not an option, and going without any acros in that tank is just not an option. It's just, you got too much going on there.
And by the way, I got so many replacements, honestly. If we wanted to, you'll see the grow out tanks. We have some very large columns growing. I don't know where that is in the video, but like we can replace for the time being, let the stuff heal, and then bring it back, a few months later.
But you want to talk about the eye candy coral? Is that a good?
Sure. That's okay.
Is that a good?
So the eye candy coral there are two 250 grow outs. One is smaller frags that are really rare, top shelf type splices, that kind of thing. And the other one is under halide and larger columns. You can show that video.
I'm showing it now, yeah.
Yeah, and you'll see it. I don't see it, Keith, by the way.
Oh, you're not seeing the video on your end?
No. So I'm just talking from my sheet of paper.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you know what we're talking about in terms of, I'm seeing some gorgeous stuff in there. I'm seeing some incredible looking millies.
Yeah. What are you looking at? That blue millie?
I see what looks like a rainbow,
large colony,
rainbow millie. I see a rainbow millie. I see a bunch of chalices.
Right.
I see a grafted cap. Fox flame.
You're looking at the LED system.
Yeah.
And then next to it to the left is LED Orphic bars and reef brites mixed with halide.
Gotcha. I know you guys did a video about taking a visit down to Top Shelf. Did you guys score some sweet stuff? Is that some of the stuff we're looking at in this tanks?
That was one of the most expensive trips I've ever taken.
I bet. It looks like you came away with more than little frags,
I mean, that Top Shelf Aquapora, whoever is on this thing, if you're ever in Orlando, go to that farm. You will. I mean, if you get invited and get shown, that farm is, I don't know, like if I want to die in a coffin, I want to there, right there, in there. It's pieces you just can't believe what's going on there.
It is pretty impressive. Those guys are amazing. When I was talking to
and you just had Kevin on,
yeah.
and I speak to Kevin once or twice a week, actually, still on text. We just set up a tumbling macroalgae with monos. Do you see that up now?
Yeah. Let me go right back to that part of the video again.
They have several of those set up on their systems. So we just duplicated it.
Yeah, explain what that's all about, Andrew.
Well, it's a sump, but it's a sump that feeds itself, right? So it's not, that macroalgae is not pulling too many nutrients from the water because the monos are feeding it. And the monos are actually they come in fresh water or brackish. And so, you can switch them to salt water without, quarantining them. It was great to actually introduce a fish without quarantine for the first time in my life. Did you hear that?
What was that?
The monos, they came in fresh water. And know that the freshwater protozoans are different than the saltwater ones. So it was one of the few times I never actually had to quarantine a fish.
Oh, yeah. you caught a break on that one.
I did.
Yeah.
We just dripped them to make them saltwater for like half the day.
Oh, really? And they could adapt, huh? They obviously did.
And they're dirtier fish, so the algae itself doesn't necessarily suck up all the nutrients because the dirtier fish are feeding that algae.
Gotcha. All right, a couple of random questions, man, from the viewers.
Sure.
Blyweiss, Andrew, how is the clam tank doing? Do you still have the jellyfish tank?
Jellyfish, we decided was too depressing. That they, after a year and a half, they start disintegrating, and ultimately, it's just a fancy LED show. So the LED, the jellyfish thing is out. We couldn't deal with animals living a year. I don't know how the people that have octopuses, I don't know how they deal with that. At least the jellyfish like disintegrate after a year and a half. So to do that, and in its place, there's a spot in my tank where we are considering, and I'll break the news here, we are considering a half-planted tank on top with steam, etc., and a half-bottom tank with discus and tetras and fresh water. So, because you know those views are like 20 times higher on fresh water. All you got to do is show some nice discus and neon tetras, and like you get like 100,000.
Maybe I should think about that.
Yeah. So we're considering it, but not the jellyfish. And on the clam tank, you got to get me to stop changing halide bulbs. I have this tinkering problem. And like at least with the LEDs, I can tinker with 12% goes to 10% and the digital numbers. On the halides, I just changed the bulbs.
What's your thought in terms of keeping clams, these days versus years ago?
If you do all aquaculture clams and provide the correct light and nutrition for them, it's doable. But still get clam diseases, clam parasites. Like every clam is not happy. I'm going to tell you right now, of all the tanks we have, the clam tank is the most difficult. They're small, they don't attach, they fall over. You're always constantly putting them back.
Yeah.
When they fall in the sand, sometimes they don't get enough light and then they die. It's just constantly, when my t-shirt is wet and my sweatshirt is wet, it's the clam tank.
It's a clam tank. I don't know, man. I've mentioned this multiple times on my on the live stream, but years and years ago, I had no problems keeping like Maximas. I didn't really Croatias weren't really my Croceas weren't my thing. Never able to keep a black Maxima clam for whatever reason.
Yes.
And squamosas, blue squammies, all that stuff
Yeah,
was
but
easy.
But how many in a tank, Keith?
Yeah, like 3 or 4.
3 or 4. Okay,
Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah.
But clams actually give each other diseases.
Yep.
And bacterial stuff. Like there's all sorts of things about a clam-only tank that you could really wipe out.
Yep.
Including the snails.
The snails.
Including that.
Yeah.
The pyramid snails and pests.
Yep.
A lot of things go wrong. They do like a wider, shallower spectrum than we are used to giving in the LEDs.
Yeah.
They live up. They live in the sunshine. So 10K, 14K, but you got to blast them with par, and you gotta. We use Fido in the morning too to feed them.
Yeah, I used to have no problems keeping clams years ago under halides, and then I can't keep clams alive even under halides these days. I don't know what it is. I'm just I never did anything special back then. I'm so I guess what I've heard from people that think it's due to the way the clams are collected. I don't know. I mean, it's just maybe it's just me, but it seems like that's a sort of common thing in terms of years ago being easier than it is today.
I think the LED is one, and two, I think wild and the pests are two.
Yeah. What's your craziest clam that you have right now?
I don't know. You got to ask John from Clam Mania. He sends me these bills, these ultra bills. They're like the ultra clam. At least they live. You know, the wild ones don't live.
Do you have any of those teardrop maximas?
I don't know if I do. The teardrops, what color are they?
Well, I used to have like a blue teardrop. I had a kind of like a gold teardrop. It's
oh yeah,
it's like,
I got those.
You got those, all right. Yeah, those are like the
honestly,
holy grail.
Listen, 120-gallon low boy tank, right? I filled up with clams, and apparently, according to John and at Clam Mania, I'm the largest clam collector in the United States, just from one tank.
One tank.
So you explain to me how many people are getting clams?
Yeah, that's true. What on the botanicals, the clam tank is plumbed to the 17K. Yes.
Yes, it is. Thank God. A lot of people say to me like, "Oh, the calcium, the nitrates are going to be gone." I'm like, I don't even notice.
There was a question I saw in here. Any clams in the 17,000-gallon tank?
No, the angels will destroy it.
Yeah.
I won't even try it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Scott King was asking that question.
I mean, I got annularis angels that like take carpet anemones and like a red dragon in their mouth like dog bones.
Here's another question. Jay Fauci. Not sure how to pronounce that. What's up with the SPS challenge? You guys are in the SPS challenge.
That's a great question. I have tough competition. I've been watching them. I know their systems. Several of them, I know their lighting. I know their water chemistry, etc. They're in the 250s right now. They grow out under the Aquaconnect halides. They're at the bottom. We see heavy puddling starting to happen. We see growth. The strategy of the competition, at least, was to grow them for 3 months first on the halide and then color them up maybe in the 300 in the back, attached to the 17,000 with all those LEDs and put them back there and color up. But frankly, we're changing strategies every day. And we'll see. At the moment, the 300-gallon, it was reset about 2-3 months ago. And we still have some diatoms. I have some tangs that are in quarantine ready to go in there. So I think it's another month or two, we're going to be safe in a 300. It is blanketed in LED. From Orphic UV bars to 6 radions to reef brights, 4 reef brights from Julio. It is and it's connected to water that I'm familiar with and that we know is good.
Yeah.
So at the moment, they're under halide at the bottom. The halide they're under is the 400-watt Aquaconnect bulb 14K, which is a much brighter, sunnier bulb than your radium. But because they're at the bottom, they are doing fine. and whether we move them in the next few months, we'll decide.
Chelly, thank you so much for that super chat, the messages. Don't forget to share and like the stream. Help ReefBum, can't even pronounce my own name, ReefBum Grill.
Listen, when Polo Reef looks at who we should interview and how and why, we look at you as an example.
Well, that is very flattering, man.
No, I'm not bullshitting you.
Well, listen. Go ahead.
No,
Keep
I
going.
mean, the truth of the matter is, we think education is like 40% of this deal.
Yeah.
We want to take the sort of the reef builder Keith approach on a lot of our YouTube things. We have access to people that, Keith, you wouldn't even imagine getting, like, marine biologists like Vernon and like guys that like you know. My Rolodex is freaking huge, and we just need to go through it and figure out crazy. We've never seen them on YouTube before.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, we talked about this in January. You've really stepped up your efforts in terms of the social media presence, but that is key, right, in terms of getting your message out, in terms of what you guys are all about.
Yeah, the philanthropy message, what's the word? The mission statement message. We're gonna shorten it. We're gonna make it so it's just about improving the hobby, whatever it takes.
All right.
And that's what my goal is.
Well, you guys are doing an awesome job in terms of spreading the word and doing so much good for the hobbyists. I know everybody is very appreciative in terms of how you're pushing the envelope on all those fronts.
Wait till this. I mean, I don't know where you are in your video. Have you shown the 3D rendering of the lab?
No, not yet.
Yeah, so you should show that. This lab is going to have 6 cubes, separate cubes. Some will be connected to the same water, some will not be. It will be very much like BRS, and we will be conducting experiments.
I'm getting to that right here. Apologize, folks, for me having to rewind and fast forward. Here we go, the ongoing projects. And so here's the rendering of the lab.
Yeah, and the lab today is a hybrid because we still haven't received all the glass tanks and we haven't moved the cubes in. So we're still in sort of transition on the lab.
And what we saw the last time you were on, Andrew, that was kind of like the lab version 1.0.
That's what you saw, but we're on like 2.5 now.
2.5, okay.
Yeah, we have real good tile down, the grow out systems, a big coral care station with different lights to see microscopes to see bugs, etc., etc.
Yeah, really cool stuff, man. You guys are becoming a real scientific. Well, your work is going to hopefully benefit all of us hobbyists and others out there in the industry. That's all.
I hope to write papers and publish, etc., etc. But in the meantime, my bigger goal is to get the information out to the public.
Yeah.
So with these tanks, we'll be able to experiment with head and lateral line disease, which carbon causes it, which doesn't. Does the miracle mud solve it? What is the mud and what ingredient is it that solves it? Is it UV? Is it UVB? Is it diet? These are all questions that we're about to answer.
Yeah, no.
So I'm going to cause head and lateral line, and I'm going to cure it in the lab.
Well, there are so many different things to tackle, and so many unanswered questions. I think I don't know how deep you guys can get into the whole bacteria thing, but that is another thing that would be fascinating to get a better understanding of in terms of the coral pathogens and in terms of what the corals are actually consuming in terms of bacteria and how that's benefiting them.
So Keith, we talk about hires here, and we talk about fish vets that can do slides on velvet, Brunella. But we also talk, and those people are not the same people that do coral pathogens, right? So we talk about the next hire and what it would be, and if we did a scientist, would it be a fish vet or would it be a coral vet? And they're different people. They're not the same people. The coral pest people are the coral pest people, and the fish vets deal with animals, including mammals.
Yeah. Now, that's awesome stuff, man. I mean, that's really just thinking way outside the box and just really moving the things along, because there's a disconnect, I think, between the scientist community and the reef keeping community, right? Us reef keepers are, we're kind of doing stuff and it's anecdotal and there's nothing.
It's called the microscope, Keith.
Yeah.
We need to teach people about the microscope and what they see under the scope and what bugs look like, what different bugs look like under the scope and slides. And maybe for a few $100 microscope, the hobbyists will start doing it.
Yeah.
Once they learn how to identify.
Yeah, I mean, I have a $200-300 microscope. Maybe it's like a $400 microscope that I, when I bring in frags and stuff, I put them under the microscope before I put them into the QT tank, and you gotta, it's pretty.
Do you know what you're looking at? Do you know?
Yeah, I could spot aqua-wing flatworm eggs. Those are pretty easy to spot,
Yeah.
You could certainly see bite marks on a frag very easily under a microscope. You could see parasitic copepods kind of zigging and zagging,
Of course.
on the corals. So just that little piece of equipment can really help a lot. And if you know what you got, then you can come up with a plan to.
You have to be trained in knowing what you got.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And there's a lot of other stuff too. I mean, there's those sea spiders. You've got, the Monty eating nudies, which you could see those with the naked eye probably if you got a bunch of them. But
you got to be trained with that naked eye. But
yeah. Well, as you know, man, over time, you come.
I asked my coral guy the other day to put back a purple Monty in the 250 that had the sparkles from Top Shelf, and he turned it over and he goes, I see one more nudie. and it's like, my eyes can't see that shit, right? I can't see it at all.
That's all you need is one.
One.
Then it's a whole different ball game. Let me do a final reminder of the giveaway here. So I've got the place where you go to enter the giveaway. It's pinned at the top here, reefbum.com/contact. It's the contact form on my website, reefbum.com. And so here's how you win the giveaway. There's going to be 9 different winners. So Andrew and his team are giving away 1 Polo Reef backpack, 6 stainless steel Polo Reef water bottles, and 2 Polo Reef baseball caps. And continental U.S. Only in terms of people that can win. So if you're outside of the continental U.S., please don't enter the contest. Put Polo Reef giveaway in the subject heading on the contact form. Do not submit multiple submissions. Those are not going to count. I will contact the 7 winners tomorrow morning via email by 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You've got to respond within 48 hours to claim your prize. So that's going to be Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please check your email spam folders. And if I don't hear from you by Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Then I will move on to the next person in line. The winners will be the 5th, the 8th, the 11th, the 14th, the 18th, the 22nd, the 25th, the 28th, and the 31st person that contact me via the contact forms. Whew. That's
I would have gone all prime numbers.
we've got more rules tonight for this giveaway, because the last giveaway we had a little situation that we had, well, I'm not going to get into it. So we've got more rules now.
What happened? Top Shelf was giving away some frags?
They gave away 2 frag packs, yeah. So I was having a little, it was a challenge getting a hold of one of the winners. So let me put it that way.
Those guys.
Amazing.
Yeah, like always around, always answering my texts, always available, always willing to help. Just good all around guys.
Yeah. Super smart and super diligent, and they grow the shit out of corals, let me tell you that, as you saw firsthand.
Oh man, I'm thinking about putting my casket in there. I told you.
I like this extra rule Ari's come up with. Keith's rule number 3: if you live in Flint, Michigan, you are automatically disqualified from the Polo Reef water bottles since you can't fill them.
You got a water problem there?
Flint, Michigan? I guess, yeah. They got a water. They used to have a water problem. I know that. Fish. Let's talk about fish, man. Fish variety. So
okay.
we got another. I'm going to fast forward to this part of the video here.
Yeah, you're going to see a bunch of fish being quarantined right now. This is sort of our current, up to date. What's going on?
I saw some fish in there, man. That are fish that I would love to have, tried to keep, never could keep them. The purple Queen Anthias, is that what I'm looking at? Yeah.
That's one of them.
Yeah.
Now, I got to tell you, Keith, I thought I had the answer.
For Purple Queens?
Yeah, I thought I had it. Let me explain to you what was told to me. One was they need to eat all the time, and they need to eat very small food, live brine, newly hatched. So we did all that and fed them intravenously and fed them 24 hours a day of live brine. And we mixed it with eggs, and we had them eating everything. So the food was not a problem. The problem, Keith, is uranemia.
Disease?
Disease. And they all come with it. I don't know if it's the source or whatever, but
we're looking at them now.
Yeah, so Bobby Humblefish and other people have told me people have been successful with doing this with the first 10 days with formalin at basically, what's the dosage? It's basically a milligram per gallon. Milligram per 10 gallons. Milligram per 10 gallons. And no copper, they can't deal with it. And the formalin will help the uranemia and get you through. And it all worked great until day 9. And day 9, they start dying, and we think it's all about internal uranemia, that the formalin is an external thing, and they already had it. Anyway, whatever it's worth, the 60 or 70 Purple Queens turned out to be, I think we got 15 or 20 through.
Uh-huh.
Which is lower than I expected, even with the new brine shrimp hatch and formalin. And because we wanted them to compete the least and have the most food, we put them in a 300-gallon LPS system, which gets fed the most.
Right. I mean, so you lost the majority of the Purple Queens during that treatment?
Between day 10 and day 20.
Is that just a very, very rigorous, tough process for a fish to go through?
I don't know, like my tank next door with the tangs in them right next door that you saw, they're in copper and formalin, not even just formalin, at the same dose, and they got no problems. I don't know what it is with these purple queens. It maybe leave them in the ocean. I don't know. Or find a new sort. The Uranamia is just brutal. And you can't even tell at first. It's internal. Like they start bruising from like literally from the inside out.
If there is another Anthias that I was so in love with, and Ventralis Anthias, same thing.
I don't have a problem with those.
You can keep those.
Yeah, I got tons of them in the back, and I've taken them through copper. To me, the key seems to be just getting the temperature down to 74 or lower, and that.
Those are gorgeous fish. Gorgeous fish.
A little shy. I mean, if you want to see 20, you got to put 100 in the tank.
Right.
But other than that, yeah, they're beautiful fish, and they come from different areas.
So they need to be in a colder tank, like that tank. Can you get away with like 78, 80 degrees, or they're not going to take that?
No. I think 76, 77 max.
Yeah. I love those fish. I tried them once years ago and didn't work out. But they're not cheap either.
No, they're expensive, hard to get. But you know what was even nicer than them? That was even hardier at the time were the Hawaiian flame Anthias.
Oh yeah.
Can't get them for the save your life now.
No. Yeah.
And they did better under warmer temperatures.
What do you have any insight in terms of what's going on with Hawaii at this point in time? No.
Other than only what people tell me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little nutty. Like people are able to like bring fish home and collect themselves, but they can't get them via CITES.
Right. Yeah. No, the flame wrasses are just gorgeous, and there's another Anthias that are really cool. The what are they? I'm blanking out on the blotchy Anthias. Those are really neat.
The blotchy ones, God, I forget their name.
Yeah.
But you know the truth, they look a little prehistoric.
Yeah.
And we don't keep them in the 17,000. I put them through quarantine, not as a problem. Nothing like the queens. Nothing like it.
And the queen angelfish are a relatively cheap fish, or queen Anthias, purple queens.
Yeah, because there's no demand for them.
Right, because they can't be kept alive. I think you're right, man. I think that's one fish that perhaps should be left in the ocean.
I don't know, like I've heard of the story, whatever. There's always going to be some med combination that somebody comes up with that says I can quarantine him in this. I've already heard stories and so forth. So I'm not giving up.
Paul, Great Bearded Reef, Borbonius Anthias.
So that's it. Those are
Borbonius. Yeah, that was like a hot fish back years and years ago. I remember when it first came into the hobby. I was like, "Whoa, what is that?" That was really unique and different. And
those guys have a hard time competing in the 17,000 just in general.
Yeah, but
yeah.
All right, Andrew, you want to talk about? We want to get into degassing and whatnot. You want to talk to us about that?
I'm comfortable talking about it up until the science part. Yeah. So why don't you play the video?
It's going.
We have noticed of all our fish diseases and deaths, sudden embolism and Popeye were a big contributor. And we've had vets come and examine them post being pulled from the tank, and it was gases. There was no bacterial fluid in the eye. It was essentially an embolism. Including in the heniocus, they get little bubbles in the eye. So what we do is we measure our gases, nitrogen and oxygen, and sure enough, major elevated. There are certain fish that don't give a flying you know what.
Yeah.
And certain ones that have sensitive eyes that care. The corals, I don't think mind, but I'm measuring oxygen saturation at well above normal. Oxygen saturation in a fish tank usually is 6 to 7 and a fraction. We're over 8 now. We're like 8.3. And my TPG, which is the total gas number, and I don't know why 103.5, 104 is an important number, but we get above 106. And that's all because of the water crashing down in that sump down 50 feet. Do you see all the bubbles, the micro bubbles, that jacuzzi? When we built the system, we didn't realize that a lot of the commercial systems out there that are this big have degassing systems built in.
Yeah.
Which means big biotowers, which are just biotowers of dripping through plastic media and biobowls. It can mean things like coming out of the water like a fountain, and as long as the water hits the air, you're okay. You have to increase your pipes like a tuba. I explain it. And make a fountain. There are ways of doing it. Believe it or not, with engines. But if Raj's back ever gets better, he's supposed to design us degassing chambers and these things that we can get our numbers just down a little bit so that I don't have eye problems anymore.
Yeah. Well, that, I guess that's something you can't really predict, and you got to pivot.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And most of the commercial aquariums, I'm told, that use huge engines, huge pipes, they do have degassing going on, whether it's a tower or something. Our issue is real estate. Like, we don't have a lot of real estate to put
towers in.
Yeah, so we may have to put it in the sump. We may have to change that box where you see the jacuzzi pumping in, make it higher, make it a bell shape so that it actually breaks the water and gets some atmosphere in it. There are a lot of degassing options. I just know that that's coming. And it's one of those things that, like, people ask me, what would you do different? I would design the sump differently. And I don't know if we would have known that unless we've gone through 2 years of it already.
All right, so I'm looking at some comments here. Barry Goss Sr. seems to think your answer to your problems there, Andrew, is just to defart your fish.
Some people, honestly, Keith, think that I should just turn the engines down in the system and use the Abyss 400s when they get here as this water circulation, and that will help. And what they don't realize is there's a certain amount of flow that needs to go through that UV to be effective. We've already cut that down already. Could I cut it down again, another 10, 15%? Absolutely. But I can't go to 700 gallons a minute to 650 down to 500, 450. I got to stay reasonable amount for the UV to work well. That's 4,000 watts of water that needs to go through there and cool it. Could I take out bulbs? Sure, but then I go through another problem with parasites, and so we're in the. This is like the beginning process of degassing. It's not a problem that most aquarists even have to deal with.
Yeah.
But when you send water down with 10 horsepower pumps down 50 feet, this is what happens.
Yeah. You get the gas.
Nitrogen, oxygen, yeah, and cavitations.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so Andrew, we're getting kind of near the end here. Do you want to get into? There's a couple other ongoing projects you guys have: the 300-gallon breakdown, and to the 900-gallon picture tank, and then we got 2,500-gallon aquascape. What do you want to talk about? You want to talk?
Let's talk about the 2,500 and the 900.
Yeah.
Drop
Okay.
down. So you see, we have big projects ahead of us. That cube, which is 200 gallons, is now basically bleached and empty.
Yep.
And we're going to move it into the lab, along with the experiment tanks, with the deep water species that we have, the narcosis, etc. We're not going to put LPS in there because they pick, and we've realized that now. But we probably could keep acro. At the end of that 900-gallon drop down is days, weeks from being delivered. It is a difficult delivery because it can't leave the stand.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And did I just notice that there's going to be closed loops in the bottom of that thing?
Oh, it has to be, because that drop down, you need the flow coming up on the deep part.
Interesting. You got a lot of holes in the bottom of that tank.
Yes.
Does that stress you out a little bit?
No, but I don't know what type of fish, coral, like, are we going to do chalices down there? Like, what, it's sort of, I don't know how to decide how to aquascape this thing yet.
Yeah, man, that's going to be like an open slate there, open canvas,
We have so much Australian live rock still, which just came in. Again, we have branch rock. We have all sorts of choices to do. But you gotta. The rock comes in, we power wash it, right? So it's basically, you're buying it for the shape, not necessarily the bacteria. And so it's going to go through dinos and diatoms and ugly phases, but less so than dry rock.
Yep. Paul is wondering who manufactured the drop-down tank.
Planet
Aquarium. Planet Aquariums.
Planet. It's taken a long time. I think they told me that they do like 80 or 90% of all drop-down tanks that are theirs. So they're the experts.
All right, 2,500-gallon, the aquascape.
Yeah, that was done by Top Shelf.
Oh, it was.
Glue, accelerator, glue, sand, glue. It was done in a tent outside. They hid all of the closed loop pipes, and it looks just what I wanted to look like, which is a lagoon. And it's going to be a mixed reef, Keith, which is harder than you think, given the flow and the dimensions. And if I run halides, is the bottom going to be too much par, et cetera, et cetera. But we're testing this stuff out now.
I'm digging that scape, man. I mean, Top Shelf just really has got that thing down in terms of their methodology and
if I told you the man hours of the procedure to get that, like that was 1 week of work.
Wow.
With 7 or 8 men.
Wow.
In a tent.
Wow.
Glue, accelerator, sand, glue, and they're calling it out like now, and then they have to move it into the system, and we actually built a phony system with exactly where the pipes are, so that they could design something around the pipes.
I mean, that looks so natural. The final product. Are you guys going to do a video on your channel about that whole thing?
It's been done, but I think once we get salt water, right now that's RO water, and it's just to keep the pressure on the glass,
Right.
and safety. Once we convert it to salt water and filled up, I think we'll start really doing a lot of videos.
Yeah. Now that I'm excited to follow that tank, man. That's
Me too.
That's gonna be
Me
that's
too.
gonna be a
Me
beautiful
too.
one. Are you what's the setup gonna be like in terms of are you gonna have kind of like a obviously there's gonna be a sump, but you could also have kind of a some live rock in a in another sump that's plumbed into the whole system, or are you guys gonna seed it that way, or what's the plan?
It's its own system, and we'll be able to we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We're thinking about doing a rotary drum filter as a mechanical, believe it or not.
Hmm.
I don't know how many people are familiar with them. We have several in the pond. We don't want to do socks and so forth. And if the rotary drum filter really works well, we may actually institute a custom one in the 17,000 after that.
Wow.
But again, it's got to be not stainless. It's got to be made of fiberglass and titanium. It's custom. It's got to have an RO basically wash, and then ability to take that water out to the cesspool.
I know. So I've never heard of a rotary drum filter. So how is that different than say a filter roller has fleece on it?
Oh,
That's
it's not. It's
different.
It's a screen. It's very fine mesh screen that rotates, and then it cleans itself, and then that water basically finds itself on the bottom and then gets exported out.
Gotcha. Interesting. And is that something that can be used in all types of systems, all sizes in terms of systems, or more so for larger systems?
Larger systems. I don't know, like with the fleece and the roller mats. And we're talking to Raj about that and MRC about the big tank. It's not easy carrying those huge things down these spiral staircases, getting them upstairs, and changing them. It's definitely easier on a smaller tank.
Yeah, I hear you.
Definitely.
All right, Andrew, you want to like wrap it with give us an update in terms of all the you talked about a little about the philanthropy, but you want to just again quickly give us a summary in terms of the current initiatives underway.
So we've done a lot of school stuff and giving to schools, particularly where there's a marine bio / program and curriculum. We've given to a few schools, a couple in Long Island, a couple in Florida, a couple in Iowa. We get requests for tanks all the time in schools for relaxation in the principal's office, but we're more interested in teaching curriculum and getting the spark to kids, and that's sort of where our heart's at, is sparking kids to grow the hobby. And whether it's money or supplies, we have several of these companies, whether it's ESV, Ecotech, Coral View, they want to be in on all this stuff with us. And so the philanthropy is a big thing. I want to give back, and giving back smartly. Now, then you have the Florida thing that just happens where all the corals just bleach.
Yep.
And you're giving to coral restoration, and you think about, like, I can't beat Mother Nature. All those thoughts go through your mind. I tell you, it's through our mind. We'd like to help, but like 90-degree water, I can't help it. I don't even understand why the ocean turned 90, other than the current situation. There was a weird current thing going on there. But we'll figure it out, and we'll help when we find a good solution. I'm on the board. Oh, I'm not on the board yet, but I'm on the committee of one Florida organization. Now I want to get involved with the Florida aquarium. Florida lost like 99% of the reef now, and like the shores are in trouble, and I don't know if we can ever beat Mother Nature or not, but I'm happy to help try. And I think it's in the hobby, and here's the reason why we try. You can't have places like Indonesia or any like Australia closing that makes the hobby good. You got to have those reefs healthy in order for the hobby to be healthy. Even though most aquas now, 50, 60, 70% are aquacultured.
Yeah.
There's still acanthos and all sorts of scolies that are coming from the wild. So we want to make those reefs, we want to help out as much as we can. And so we're figuring it out. And it's the people involved, it's the methodologies involved, it's also all of that.
Well, again, man, very much appreciated in terms of what you're giving back, you know, to the community, to the hobby itself. It's
I mean, SeaWorld, we went to go do that video at SeaWorld, and the Florida Aquarium, they're like Noah's Arking stuff now.
Really?
No, I'm not kidding you. They pulled stuff before the bacterial STN came out, and then they pulled it again because they saw the warm temperatures starting to happen. Like, I don't know how it goes back into the ocean on a scale basis that can make a difference. But these are heroes that are doing this stuff. And whether it's coral spawning and breeding these things and replanting them when it's time, and maybe it's just not time yet, or it's studying those corals in Miami underneath the bridge that like are growing and like pollutants. Colin, you know what I'm talking about. So whatever it is, I want to give back to this hobby to grow it. It gave to me. I want to give back.
Well, I think Ari summed it up in the chat here. We need more people like Andrew in this hobby. And TJ Roberts, yeah, 100%. For sure. Absolutely. All right, Andrew. Well, listen, man, this was a very informative and very, you know, I always learn something chatting with you and you know, your team there at Polo Reef. So I want to thank you for taking the time to join us on the live stream. I know there's a lot of folks out there that we're really digging this. And visit poloreef.com, folks, to learn more about, you know, the fascinating things that Andrew and his team are doing. And while you're there,
YouTube for more long-term educational stuff, probably. Instagram, polo_.reef for pretty pictures and songs and what those people like. The group, the Facebook page and the Facebook group. The group has some of the most important people in this industry, scientists in there, questions answered. Like I just let the thing in, and like you can't believe the people that respond.
And you guys also sell the merch that we're giving away. So if you don't happen to win any of the merch, then please pick some of the merch up there, and all the profits are donated.
Yeah, we sell, but we don't keep the profits. There is no profits at Polo Reef right now.
It goes all back to the educational charities and the reef restoration projects. So
right,
it goes
exactly,
to great causes.
Exactly.
Great causes. All right, Andrew, man, thank you again so much for joining us, and that's going to do it for this show. I want to give my sincere thanks to Andrew for being on the live stream tonight, and I also want to thank both Bulk Reef Supply and Ecotech Marine for being sponsors of this live stream, and also all you folks out there tuning in and watching. Again, thank you so much for contributing to the conversation. Also, a big thank you to Paul, who is the moderator as well as the president of the Boston Reefer Society. Please join and support your local reefing clubs. They are so...
Absolutely. Local reefing clubs.
Yes, they're so important to the hobby. So important. Also want to let you folks know that all episodes of Rappin With ReefBum are available as podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Amazon. My next Rappin With ReefBum live stream will be on Thursday, August 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think, Andrew, you know this person, Steve Wiest, will be on the
sure.
on the program. He had one of the more iconic reef tanks around years ago, and he left the hobby, but he's back now and just got a kick-ass tank. So I'm really thrilled to have him on. Should be another great show. If you want to check out the full upcoming schedule of guests, go to reefbum.com under the YouTube section. And again, in terms of the giveaways, I'll get back to all the winners tomorrow morning, and I'm not going to go through the rules again because I've did that several times. So with that, till next time, be safe and be well, and we'll see you later.
Everybody, thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity. Keith, appreciate it all. Are you going to, who's going to Chattanooga, Tennessee?
I am not going to make it there, but you guys are going to be there?
I'm speaking.
Ah, there you go. You're going to be there.
I'm going to be there. And you know, it's better than Australia.
Beautiful. All right, everybody.
Yeah.
Have a good
All right,
one.
good night.